Good morning, responsible day traders. Today is Monday, December the 11th, 2023. I'm Lindsay Duff, and this is Responsible Day Trading. So, a few things going on right now. I mean, we are getting close to the end of the year, which means things start moving very, very slowly. It is going to move slower and slower as the end of the year approaches, as a lot of people are taking holidays and they're not worried so much about the market. Now, something we did have happen today is we had market rollover. So that means we went from the December 2023 contract to the March 2024 contract. Now we're going to talk a little bit. I mean, automatically when you open up your NinjaTrader, it's going to make that adjustment for you. It's going to give you the option to switch over. Now, one of the things with something like UProfitTrader is you're going to want to make sure that you're trading the contract that has the highest volume. Right now, they're both moving just like absolute molasses. And we're going to look at that in just a moment. I do have my bigger charts on the 23 contract, and I'm looking at what it looks like with the charts on the 24 contract as well. The 2023 contract is at 46.05. The 2024 contract is at 46.58. So it's already made a considerable move to the upside. But what I want to do is just kind of take a peek at what the difference is and that we can see how those things work together. Guys, don't forget that we are holding the 50% discount until the end of the year. You also do get a free reset with your subscription. Now, you do have to get that reset at the end whenever you are updating your subscription. So whenever you update that, you want to make sure that you are contacting support if you are available to have a reset. So just so you know, you can't just reset your account because you want to. You have to have a broken rule, something along those lines, before you can reset the account. It's not just, hey, I want to reset it. There has to be a valid reason to reset that account in order to be able to do that. Also, guys, we just had another meet and greet with Responsible Day Trading. It was really nice. We did a coffee one. I think we may have done it just a little early. So next one we're going to have for coffee, we're going to do it just a little bit later so it could be easier for people to show up on a Saturday morning and still get a little bit of sleep in on a Saturday morning. So the next one we're going to do is probably going to be out here in the Sugarland area again. It might involve alcohol. It might involve coffee. We're going to have to make that decision as the time comes. But it's been really great just kind of meeting new traders in the area, saying hello, and just being able to hear their stories about what they're trading and see where their interest lies and how they got into the business. So it's really great. Okay, so without further ado, let me go ahead and bring up the news so we can have a look at that. And also very soon here, guys, we're doing an update on the Responsible Day Trading website. So I'm really excited for everybody to see that when it comes up. So we're doing some baby steps towards it right now. Also, don't forget, guys, we do have the curriculum coming out in Spanish very, very soon. So I'm really, really excited about that. Okay, so let's go ahead and check out the market. And let's head on over here to responsibledaytrading.com. Then we're going to go to news. We're going to go to market news. And when we go to the market news, we got a lot going on this week. Today, we do have the 10-year note auction at noon Central Time. So it'll be after the market opens. Tomorrow, mostly pre-market, an hour before the market opens. Then you got the 30-year bond auction at noon Central Time. So Wednesday is probably going to be a bit of a doozy. We have pre-market an hour before, we have crude oil inventories an hour after, and then we have FOMC, and we've got some things going on at noon, 1, and then 1:30. Thursday, all pre-market. Friday, 15 minutes after the market opens. So that is going to be, it looks like we might have a little bit of a wild ride. So that would be awesome if we do, because we get this market moving and it could be a lot of fun. But let's go ahead and check out what we got going on with the market, guys. So what we can see here is I do have these on the March 2024 contract. And let's just pull up the December 2023 contract here. They seem to be moving with about the same pressure, about the same pace. So I think what I'm going to go ahead and do is just go ahead and stick with the March 24. We do have just about 7 minutes until the market opens. And what I may actually do is pause this and wait that 7 minutes and just see how it moves once it starts opening, so I can make that decision if I'm going to stick with this one or if I'm going to move over. Now, guys, it's very, very simple to switch back and forth. What you would want to do is go here to futures, add in. If you need to add in one, you're going to add it in right in here. But I've got the 12.23 and I've got the 3.24. So it's very easy for me to switch back and forth. You just hit that 3.24, it'll say loading for a minute or two, and then it will bring up the new contract. So I am going to let this sit for a few minutes. I'm actually going to pause this and come back and see which one's moving a bit more whenever the market opens, and then we're going to start talking about that. Okay, and we're off, as my mama used to say, like a herd of turtles. You can see I moved this one over to the 12.23. I mean, honestly, to me, they both look like they're moving fairly similar, and I don't have any particular rules for myself around which contract that I use. So I may go ahead and move over to the 3.24 contract, and I'm probably just going to go ahead and work from there. Now, because of this, one thing that is missing is some of these extra lines. So you can see this is a 12.23. When I go to the 3.24, there are some missing right up in here. So if I go back to 12.23, you can see that there are definitely some extra lines in that area, but that's okay. It's not a big deal. It'll be pretty easy for me to adjust. I can see that we've got a couple of places that will need some support and resistance areas created, and we can really do that honestly by just adding them on our bigger tick charts as they come up. So I did add these couple of extra lines here. If I wanted to close this up and look at where my support and resistance takes place, I'll just grab this horizontal line and I'll add this. What I want to do is make sure that it's set to show up on all charts, which it is. So I'm going to be able to see that line show up on all my charts. So I'm going to go ahead and just add a few up in here. Let's see, 46. Don't want to have them too close. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is scroll back a bit so we can see whenever it was much higher, and have a few in here. Let's see, support area there. That should be good. Let me get one right in here where you can see it's pulled up, touched it as resistance and support quite a few times. I pulled this one up just a little bit. Probably pull that one up and have another one in between here. One of my rules of thumb is they need to be anywhere between 8 and 10 points apart. I may have this one kind of close. As I get there back up to that area, I may take a look at it again. But the one thing we need to pay attention to is, what's the market doing? Is it moving today? And to me, this is moving enough that I should be able to use it to do some trading today if I chose to. All right, so let's start off with the daily chart. So today I am looking at my daily chart. You can see I have it on the new contract. If I wanted to move it back to 12.23, we could look at that, and it may take a minute to switch over there. It's probably not the best idea. That I would move it to the 12.23. We're just going to go ahead and leave it at the 3.24. If it comes back up, it's loading. It's okay though. We can still see what happened in the price. So honestly, last week I talked about it pulling back. The furthest that it pulled back was right at this point down here. So we didn't really get the pullback that I was anticipating last week, and that's absolutely fine. But we may see that happen this week. What I'm looking at is right here. There's a couple of different things, right? First off, we're sitting at this bottom Bollinger Band, which means that it could push up. But we did pull all the way up to the top right here, and we didn't see anything happen just yet. So it could roll off here to the downside. Do I anticipate that to happen? Not particularly. Just want to kind of look at where my area is happening here. I mean, we have bounced against this area several times as resistance, and it's pushed back down. But with it rolling down to the bottom Bollinger Band the way it has and not breaking through, typically what we expect is at least a push back up towards the top Bollinger Band. Oh, is this going to give us the move up towards that last major high, which was around 5,000, I thought. And I did look at that on the 1223. We're just going to pop back there for a second. And I don't assume it would just change, but I remember seeing it a little closer to the 5,000 mark in my, oh, that's because I'm looking at the wrong spot. Excuse me. Back here, that's the last high, the 5,000 mark. So we're getting closer and closer to one of our last highs, but our actual last highest high was up here right around 5,000. Could it push up there? I mean, here's to hoping, right? It looks like it's making the attempt to move up towards that area, but it's not quite there yet. And guys, I just want you to see how easy it is to really switch back and forth between the 324 contract and the 1223 contract. It is pretty easy. It's really just a click of a button. You do want to make sure that if you're going to be switching back and forth, that you let the data really take its time and load up, and then it's very easy to switch back and forth. So if it has to take the time to load up the data, it's going to be a bit of a pain in the butt. But you can see this one has switched back and forth pretty easily because I've already done the job and it's really already got the data there. Okay, back to the market. So here we are sitting currently at the top of our most recent high right in here from last week. It does have the look like it wants to continue up. And what I mean by that is it's just slowly moved up here and we're just sitting at the bottom Bollinger Band. Now, as I said just a few minutes ago, it could very easily roll off and push down, but there's not a lot of strength to those BBs right now. And this is something that we see typical of a continuation to the upside. Now, we may see it do a sharp push and then come back down, but we'd have to really evaluate what's going to happen with the MACDs at that point. So let's move this out of the way and let's pull up the 28,657. Okay, so the 28,657 is also in line with the continuation to the upside. We did see some nice big pullbacks that happened in here and it's pushed up. We're sitting at the bottom Bollinger Band. We've got a nice little floor happening right in here. It does look like it's going to attempt to move up. Now, when we're watching these MACDs right here, what we want to see is it roll off the bottom Bollinger Band and push towards the top and move through that top Bollinger Band to continue up if that's going to happen. Otherwise, if it doesn't push through there and it pulls back and pushes down, we may see, I mean, these are not exactly strong EMAs. They're attempting to make the strength. This is more what we look at when we see the strength of the EMAs. There's definitely distance between them. We're bouncing off the area several times. Now here we have bounced off the area. It is starting to create that distance, but we can see what happened, the last few weeks where it struggled to pull away, it pushed back below, it pulled back above, it pushed back below. One of the good things about what we're seeing right here is it's staying pretty continuous with staying above. So we did cut through here, but we didn't really reach back below. I know if you've been following me for a while, I talk about the change of the direction has to happen when you pull away from the EMAs and you get back below the zero line. So technically we did change some directions. Oh, and also you want to close back below the bar that initially pulls away from both the EMAs. And so technically we did have a shift here and here, maybe, yeah, right in here. And we did have a shift here. But in the long run, what we can see is that it was still making higher pivots. And we do talk a lot about this in the curriculum when we're learning about reading these indicators and the price action, that we can get back below and shift the direction to the downside, but we can see that the overall movement was still up. It has been struggling. It has not made a new high in the MACDs since back here on November 15th, almost a month ago. But you can see it's really tried to get up there. I'm just looking at these smaller tick charts that are here, and these are what I call our trading charts, right? So we see the three charts happening here, the 10946, the 1597, and the 233. These are now what we call the trading charts. So I look at this trading chart, all three of these direction is to the upside. So on all of our charts across the board, between every chart that I have, we have the direction currently to the upside. We got back below here and we got back below here. Never quite did here on the 10,946. So we pulled down to the zero line, we pulled down to the EMAs, we pushed up, we made these bars that are showing the reason to see more up. We're going to have to see the continuation in the MACDs here. And we also want to see crossing of this top Bollinger Band, kind of like what happened in here. Now we did cross and have a bit of divergence between these pivots on the 10,946, which told us that we had the anticipations of pushing back down. Doesn't necessarily mean we're going to change the entire trend of the market. We knew we had a pretty good chance for it to come back down towards the EMAs, which it definitely did. And when we have a strong trending market, we're going to see multiple divergences be created. So as you can see, we haven't quite crossed this top Bollinger Band. We're getting a bit of a slowdown. We're getting a bit of a pullback. You can see the MACDs trying to pull out of the Bollinger Bands here, or pulling out of the Bollinger Bands here, which gives us a good opportunity to pull back deeper. So these are all things that we're paying attention to as we're going through our trading day. What does our larger chart say versus our smaller chart? Do we have an area to take a trade? Are we anticipating shifting the direction? So right now we can see the 10,946 is really trying to give us a sense of pulling back to the downside, looking at what looks like reversal bars and being below the Bollinger Band. In the same breath, the 1597 was, until just a moment ago, really trying to show us the shift back to the upside. And I meant by being at that bottom Bollinger Band and seeing the EMAs cross over to the upside. So as it's starting off the day, I was hoping that starting off the day was not going to be showing us a mixed bag, but that's okay that it is a little bit. We are back below the Bollinger Bands here. We're seeing this roll back down. So we may see this come back into the area and push up. Right now it's pulled back into the 1597 area and it's trying to show that it's going to move to the upside. It's got a nice little flag reversal bar here. One thing that I do discuss when I'm talking about these MACDs and crossing the Bollinger Bands is I don't just look at the first BB. I'm also looking at the second BB to show us, is it just a bit of a crossover, or are we going to see some continuation with that move? And here is that second BB that actually would have crossed right here, that blue one. So this first one's on the line. So this is our first BB. Our second BB is this blue one. And what do we see? It made the attempt to push back up at that point. It's not a super strong attempt, but it made the attempt to push back up at that point. So if you were attempting to take a short from somewhere right in here, you might have gotten run over a bit whenever this did do the pullback that's happening there. So that's why I typically try and wait for the next couple of BBs, and then at least the next BB, to tell me if I have good opportunities for it to continue in that direction. Now, something that's happening here is we're still inside of these Bollinger Bands, and I don't see a lot of strength moving up right now. You can see as it was crossing the Bollinger Bands here, there was a lot of distance between these BBs. These BBs are very close together, and we've already seen a little bit of a roll back here. So probably going to see it pull back just a little bit more before it pushes up if it's going to. Look at that distance that's being created between these BBs. It's really trying. But pay attention to this too, guys. Something we always want to pay attention to is how many ticks are left on the tick counter. So as it's pulling back in here, we can still see we have 300, 200 ticks left. At that first breakaway, the BB, where it was showing a lot of that distance, there were still 500 ticks. Look what's happened in those 500 ticks. BBs have come closer and closer together. So it doesn't quite have the strength to pull back that we were anticipating in the very beginning. As I said before, it doesn't mean it won't pull back. It just means be careful right now because it's not pulling back right at this moment. All right, guys. So in the long run, let's just say, the direction on all of our charts, on our daily chart, on our 28,657, on the 610, on the 233, on the 4181, the 1597, the 10946. Currently, the direction is up on all of the charts. We're above the EMAs, we're above the zero line, our direction is up. I am looking at the new contract, which can make things shift a little bit. We're just going to really quick run back over to the 1223 contract so we can just see what kind of difference maybe in movement that we might be seeing. The problem is with the rollover is that there are a lot of people still in the old contract, and there are a lot of people moving over to the new contract. So at that point, everything becomes split between the two contracts. And whenever that happens, it means that the volume is split between the two contracts. Typically, I don't like to trade contract rollovers, and this is exactly why. Because we can see it slows down very, very much on the older contract, and we can see also that it's moving a little bit slower on the new contract. So at this point, I think I'm good to move over to the 324 contract and see how things are rolling between there. Getting up to that top Bollinger Band, we might see this pull back a little bit more before it moves up, especially the way the BBs are trying to move to the downside. I don't want to let myself get sucked into that BB because there's still 900 ticks left, and you can see it looked like it was pushing strong down. Not quite yet, but we may see that happen. We didn't cross the top Bollinger Band here, so we may see it pull back just a little bit deeper. All right, guys, that is going to wrap that up for today. It does look like it's still pushing up. I know you can't see it, but it is definitely pushing up at this moment. So I think we're going to see this still move to the upside. The direction is up on all of the charts, and so there's no reason not to see it move up. Guys, if you have some questions about the way some of this stuff works, we do have a free beginner guide. So you can reach out on the website and you can download that for free. It does talk about what are the difference between stocks and E-minis. If you're curious about that and that's not something that you know a lot about, we do talk about profit trader in these things, so you can understand a little bit more about that. And even taxes, we mention a little bit in there. So if you are new to trading and you have some questions, definitely reach out and get that free beginner guide. Don't forget, if you're not new to trading and you are working on your funded account, 50% off this month for profit trader. And if you are looking to educate yourself in what we're seeing here and how we're reading these markets, then definitely reach out to us at info@responsibledaytrading.com, and you're going to be able to get in touch with one of us here and ask all the questions you have. So, all right, guys, we're going to go ahead and wrap that up. I hope that everybody has an amazing week. It is cold, cold, cold here, so stay warm. And just remember, as the end of the year is coming to a close, this market is going to slow down. So just be patient if you feel like you must trade. So that's all my advice I've got. All right, guys, I hope everybody has a wonderful week. If you have questions, please reach out to us. And as always, you know that I look forward to catching you on the profitable side.